Hello and welcome back to a new video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing the first of a horror franchise, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, if you didn't see my last video, I basically talked about how I bought Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, not the remake, and also the Nightmare on Elm Street collection. Now, I love horror movies. It's probably my favourite genre, and I haven't done too many reviews of them. I've done about, 6 maybe overall, and out of 20 videos that's not too many considering it is my favourite genre. So I want to be doing more horror movie reviews and especially franchise reviews. Now I've done some Scream reviews of the second and third one. I haven't done the first and fourth yet. I have seen them and I will be doing one in the future. I haven't done any Halloween reviews, but I've only seen the first two, so I can't really talk about all of them yet. I will do reviews on that as well. But A Nightmare on Elm Street, I bought it. I've only ever seen the first one. And that's all I've been doing is just watching Nightmare on Elm Street films. They're so good. They are really, really good actually. And I just finished the fourth one like 10 minutes ago. And I got it yesterday. So I'm on the fifth one now. But, so yeah, this video will be of the very first Nightmare on Elm Street. The review will be a little bit longer than other film reviews, just because I have to talk about quite a bit, because I want to get a lot into this review. So, first of all, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the very original, is probably the best one out of the four I've seen so far, and that's just because it's pretty much perfect in every single way. It's got a great villain, Freddy Kruger. You'll probably have seen him before with the hand with like the claws on it, the knife fingers. He's very iconic. He's one of the three main, I'd say, horror villains, which is Jason from Friday the 13th, Freddy Kruger from Nightmare on Elm Street, and then finally Michael Myers, which is my favourite out of the three from Halloween. But Freddy Kruger is the one with the most personality out of the three, and he's probably the only one actually with a personality if you think about it. He's funny in quite a lot of the films. He's comedic, but he's sadistic. He is this sadistic killer who stalks teens in their sleep and kills them, basically. Now, this film is quite graphic, and I will be talking about certain scenes. Won't be going over the top with them. But I will give like a warning about when I'm going to say something about them. I might not even talk that much about them, just giving you a heads up. So, first of all, Nightmare on Elm Street is about this group of teenagers, a bunch of friends who live on Elm Street, and they are being stalked in the streams by a guy who wears a green and red striped jumper. He wears like a bit of a hat. It's not a fedora, but it's a hat, and he has knives for fingers. And he's horrifically burnt, and his name is Freddy Kruger. Now, I like him the most in the first film because of how humorous he is, really. Like, it's quite weird to watch, and he is really sadistic. Like, there's a scene where he chops his fingers off, and then he just starts laughing. So he's kind of like that, and he is an actual really good bad guy. And that's because the fact that you're seeing these helpless teens, they can't do anything, they're sleeping, they're defenseless, and this sadistic killer is just killing them in really brutal ways. And I mean, some of them are horrific. For example, Johnny Depp is in the film when he was really young, and he gets sucked into his bed, and then this is a really good use of practical effects. I don't know how they did it, but then like just so much blood just starts going up, and it's like the gravity was turned upside down. It just starts pooling against the ceiling, and it's a really cool scene, but it's really kind of gross. And another scene is the woman gets a stomach like cut when she's asleep, and it is really kind of like a bit disturbing at times, especially in later films. Like the fourth one is quite bad in terms of that kind of thing. But in the first film, he's funny in certain scenes, and my favourite line is when, in all the films, he has really good lines, especially the third one has great lines, but the first one, she goes, "Oh my god," and he goes, "This is God," and then I think he lifts his shirt up and like cuts his stomach or something. And there's probably one of the three iconic horror scenes in my opinion. There's one from Halloween, which is my personal favourite, where she's trapped in the wardrobe and he's trying to get with a knife. And then the other two are from Nightmare on Elm Street. One of which is where Freddy Krueger's arms like extend really far as he's walking down an alleyway, and he starts scratching along the wall. That was just such a good use of like shadow and lighting and noise. It's just a really, really good use of everything really in that scene. And then this is a really good one, is where Nancy, is it the name Nancy? I'm fairly sure it's Nancy. Nancy's in the bath, and then the hand like comes out of the bath and just starts going closer and closer to her, and then as it's about to grab her, mum calls and it goes back under the water. That scene was so intense when I first watched it, because it was just, she was helpless, she was asleep in the bath, and this hand just starts coming out of the soap, out of the soapy water. If you're scared of the film and you don't want to watch it, in my opinion, it's not bad in terms of that. But then again, there is like, I've seen so many horror films, they just don't do anything for me anymore. It was like ranked as in one of the top 10 scariest, but I don't think so personally. I don't think people will be that affected by it as it was today, and they'll think it was a bit humorous, a bit like The Evil Dead. But I know the actual concept is really kind of creepy, that when you go to sleep, he's there waiting for you. And the reason that it does this, I won't talk about it because it's... Well, in fact, I've already spoiled it with Johnny Depp, so... yeah, basically the parents of the kids killed this child murderer who was Freddy Kruger by setting him alight, and he's now hunting the children of those parents. And that's the kind of concept that he's killing them one by one. But because, obviously, it's happening in their sleep and there's no one else there, nobody's believing the kids, and... This is the creepiest part. This is based on a true story. There was a boy who thought there was a man trying to kill him in his sleep, and he said that he didn't want to go to sleep because there was someone there. When he fell asleep, he woke up with apparently cuts across his chest, and they say it was self-inflicted, but they were really bad. And that's just kind of like a really creepy thing to think of when you go in to watch this film. But A Nightmare on Elm Street is really, really good. It is a perfect horror film. I do prefer Halloween over A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's just because I prefer Michael Myers to Freddy Krueger. But the character, I'm sure her name's Nancy. I honestly might be getting this so wrong because Nancy sounds a bit weird, but I'm fairly sure it's Nancy. Nancy's a great protagonist. She appears again in the third film, and I think in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But in the third one, she was great as well. In the first one, she was even better, and A Nightmare on Elm Street is a perfect horror film. I wouldn't start out with this. If you were going to say watch a horror film for the first time and you don't know what it's going to be, I would recommend Halloween over this one, just because if you don't like kind of violence and disturbing imagery, then Halloween is probably better than A Nightmare on Elm Street. But if you've seen a lot of horror films and you don't really care, A Nightmare on Elm Street is perfect, just like Halloween. And the series so far, I've seen the first 4, like I said, and the third one is just as good as the first one. The third one is really, really good. Second one sucks, but the fourth one was okay. Had a really gross finale that I'll talk about when I do the review of that, and I'm going to try and get a video up every day of this, so I can try and get it done within a week today, because there's 7 films that I've got here. Don't have the remake, unfortunately, but it's on Sky, so I can just watch that anyway, and Freddy vs. Jason isn't included, but I'll try and find that somewhere as well. So, have you seen The Nightmare on Elm Street? Any of them? What would you say your ordering of the 4 is? I'd say it'd be 1, 3, 4, then 2, but that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.